Welcome Wardy today.
You know, one of the things that makes our country strong is our institutions. No matter how bad things get in this country, we have a basic structure that ensures a functioning democracy. We can disagree on policy, but we do so within the bounds of order and respect for the system. Otherwise, it all falls apart. I'm not going to dwell on the decorum of the House here today, other than to say we are not going to allow stunts like this to stop us from carrying out the people's business. Why do I call this a stunt? Well, because it is one. Let's just be honest here. Here are some facts. Yesterday, the House Appropriations Committee considered its bill for Homeland Security spending. At the committee, Democrats offered in committee an amendment offering the gun measure they say they want. That amendment failed on a bipartisan basis. So just yesterday, the Democrats offered this gun measure they claim they want, and it failed on a bipartisan basis in committee. There was a vote. It was in the committee through regular order, and the vote failed. That's a fact they didn't want to talk about. Here's another one. If Democrats want to vote for a bill on the floor, there's a way to get one. It just takes 218 signatures on a petition, and then they can have a vote. It is that simple. That's how the House works. It's a well-known process. But they're not doing that. They are not trying to actually get this done through regular order. No, instead, they're staging protests. They're trying to get on TV. They are sending out fundraising solicitations, like this one. House Democrats on the House floor. Your contribution will go to the DCCC. $15. This one says, try giving us $25. But if you want, you can send us $50, $100, $250, $500, $1,000. Because look at what we're doing on the House floor. Send us money. If this is not a political stunt, then why are they trying to raise money off of this? Off of a tragedy? What they're called for failed in a committee in the House. The reason I call this as a stunt is because they know this isn't going anywhere. It already failed in the Senate. They may not like this fact, but this bill couldn't even get 50 votes in the United States Senate, let alone 60. Why is that? Why is it that this bill failed on a bipartisan basis in committee and this bill failed on a bipartisan basis in the Senate? Because in this country, we do not take away people's constitutional rights without due process. This is not just Republicans saying this. It's groups like the ACLU who are saying this. But more to the point, our focus needs to be on confronting radical extremism. Terrorism is the issue. Let me say it again. Terrorism is the issue. And defeating terrorism is our focus here in the House. So let me be really clear. We are not going to take away the constitutional rights of law-abiding Americans. And we're not going to allow publicity stunts to stop us from doing our job. That's why the House powered ahead last night to provide important resources in the fight against the Zika virus. One of our must-do items on our list this week was that we had to respond to the Zika virus. We know this is something that we have to get on top of. And in the face of this distraction, we passed a responsible bill that provides the level of funding that was in the Senate bill that received a big bipartisan vote with a mix of offsets that we in the House thought were very important. This is a good compromise. It meets an urgent need, and I urge the Senate to take it up and pass it. Now, Democrats can talk all they want. I'm really not sure what their plan or end game is here, but the bottom line is despite these distractions, we did our job. We did the people's business, and we will continue to do so. One more point I want to bring up. I want to say a word about the Supreme Court ruling that we just got that halts the president's executive amnesty. This is a win for the Constitution. It's a win for Congress, and it's a win in our fight to restore the separation of powers. Presidents don't write laws, Congress writes laws. This is a case that the House weighed in on because it's fundamental to our system of checks and balances. Congress, not the president, writes our laws. And today, the Supreme Court validated that very core, essential, fundamental principle.
Speaker Ryan, two-part question. What were your personal feelings when you were being screamed at and yelled shame? Could not have been comfortable, not even a year into your speakership.
Oh.
And secondly, you have a lot of spirited members within your own conference. Are you worried that this sets a precedent for the shoe being on the other foot, that this could happen now when anyone's in the minority party and wants to prove a point?
I do worry about the president here. I'm very worried about the president here. I have an obligation as the Speaker of the House to protect this institution. We are the oldest democracy in the world. We are the ballast of the world of free people. And so when we see our democracy descend in this way, it is not a good sign. It is not a good precedent. So yes, I do worry. Look, I've been around. I've gotten look, I've done the Iowa State Fair, you know, the soapbox. I have done Wisconsin recalls. So that I am used to. But on the House floor, no. On the House floor, where we have rules, where we have order, where we have a system where democracy is supposed to work its way out in a deliberative, respectful way, no, I did not expect that, because I think what we did was we watched a publicity stunt, a fundraising stunt, descend an institution that many of us care a great deal about. So yeah, I think it sets a very dangerous precedent. Manny.
Speaker Ryan, you pledged when you came in to run a more open House. Last night, the Zika bill passed without sufficient time to review it, according to your own rules. Finish my question. The rules also on amendments for appropriations bills are much more structured now. And on this gun vote, you're not going to bring this forward for an amendment vote.
It already failed in committee.
On the floor. But aren't you essentially undermining your own promises for a more open House?
Not in the least. What our members ask for is an open process, but a functioning process. What we learned that Democrats were not interested in advancing the process. They're interested in stopping the process. Our members want Congress to function. Our members want us to do the people's business and to do our jobs. And when the Democrats are trying to stop Congress from doing anything, that is not an open process. That's a no process. That's a halting process. To the point of last night, you think we were going to have a civilized debate about the Zika virus? You think they were interested in coming to the mic and debating Zika? Of course not. They were screaming and shouting over each other. So we were going to get our job done. And our job this week was to make sure that we were giving the authorities, the CDC, giving the vaccination, getting ourselves prepared for the Zika virus. We're going into summer. People are going to be grilling out on 4th of July, and mosquitoes are going to be biting people. And we want to make sure that we have the proper response. And that is why we did our job and passed this bill.
Mr. Speaker, why not just hold the vote like the Senate did earlier this week? It would have taken, what, 15 minutes?
We have a process for this. This is a bill that isn't even supported by a bipartisan majority. This bill, this amendment was brought up in the Appropriations Committee, and it failed there. That's point number one. Point number two, if you want to bring a bill that you can't get through committee, you can do a discharge petition with 218 signatures. They're not bothering with these things. They're looking for publicity stunts. Oh, and by the way, this isn't about making law, because the Senate already defeated it. So they know it's not going to law. This is about a publicity stunt and now a fundraising scheme.
But the Senate is looking at a compromise.
If the protest...
Oh, but let me just back on that. What did I say yesterday or the day before in our press conference? We want to see what the Senate produces. We're looking at this issue. What did I say over the weekend? We know that there is an issue with respect to terrorist watch lists and people attempt to buy guns. We're looking at that. We're doing it deliberatively. We're not doing publicity stunts on the floor. We're actually looking at this issue so that we get it right. Because, by the way, remember what the FBI told us. You get this wrong, you're going to screw up terrorist investigations. You, Congress, overreact and do this the wrong way, you're going to screw up our ability to go after terrorists. So we want to get it right while protecting people's constitutionally guaranteed rights and not violating their due process rights.
If the protests do continue, do you plan to take any further action against Democrats for breaking the rules?
We're reviewing everything. We're reviewing everything right now as to what happened and how to make sure that we can bring order to this chaos. This is the people's house. This is Congress, the House of Representatives. oldest democracy in the world, and they're just sending it into chaos. I don't think this should be a very proud moment for democracy or for the people who stage these stunts. Jonathan.
On appropriations, you're not going to be able to finish the process, certainly before July ends. So you're going to have to come back in September. How long do you want a CR to go for? And what are the factors you're thinking of going into that?
I don't want to get into how long a CR gets to because I want to do as much as we can to get our job done. I want to move as much appropriation product through the House floor as possible. And I don't want to start talking about CRs because then that means we're shortchanging the process we're trying to get
So
going.
you're going to have to do a CR.
We'll see. Alex.
Mr. Speaker, why not shut off the lights? Republicans have pointed out that that's essentially what Nancy Pelosi did back in 2008 in order to debate, or to end debate on.
We're following the rules as they've always been in place. As you know, when you're in recess subject to the call of the chair, that's one process. When you adjourn, and that's another process. So we are simply following the rules as they have always been written, and the rules as they were in 2008 as well.
Mr. Speaker, your Homeland Security Committee,
Tell me who you with?
Scott McFarland, NBC4.
Okay.
Your Homeland Security Committee has ordered an investigation into what's happened at the Department of Homeland Security headquarters. The feds are investigating whether an employee was plotting to attack senior officials there.
Right.
Has your office been briefed on that?
Yeah,
Any
I'm
thoughts on
familiar with the reports. We want more information, but I am familiar with the reports, and we're waiting a further investigation.
that? Were you briefed on it, sir?
My staff briefed me.
We haven't had a Trump question.
I don't even know. I mean, I've been a little busy.
Right, this is the one favor that the sit-in has done for you. You've been extremely clear on your thought process about supporting the nominee. You don't want a Hillary Clinton presidency, and how important it is for you as a party leader. You've been very clear about that. I have been wondering, though, if there isn't something larger at stake here. You just mentioned that this is a ballast of a free people, this institution. You're the head of it. And with everything that this country has been through over its history, civil rights, racial discrimination, fair play, voting rights, all of those things, you have a nominee, as you know, and you've had to rebuke him for xenophobia, Islamophobia, attacking a judge based on ethnicity. Have you ever thought about whether somebody in your position, regardless of party, needs to reject this? Just somebody in your position needs to reject it for the health of the country and not party or an election. Is there anything bigger here?
Let's make it really clear. Yes, I'm the head of the legislative branch as Speaker of the House. I'm also a high-ranking Republican official. If I lead a schism in our party, then I am guaranteeing that a liberal progressive becomes president and continues these policies, which I think are extremely detrimental to the country.
Is there something bigger than
I think losing the Supreme Court for a generation is detrimental. And I've said all along, we want to see the campaign improve. We want to see the campaign improve in tone, in approach, in every respect. I heard he gave a good speech here that I've been too busy. I haven't even seen the thing or read it. But when I see and hear things that I don't agree with, that I think are contrary to our principles as conservatives, as Americans, I'm going to speak out on those things. I'm going to be really clear. You know that. But at the same time, the last thing I want to do is help Hillary Clinton become president of the United States. I think that would be bad for the country.
Mr. Speaker, right now, the citizens of Great Britain are voting on whether to stay or leave the European Union. They're about to finish voting. Do you have hopes as to the outcome of that vote?
I'm going to do exactly what the president did not do and not weigh in on this, and send the signal to our great friends and allies in Britain that we stand with them regardless of what decision they make.
Are you fearful of the consequences economically in the United States? For the
No,
US
I'm not. I'm not fearful. I'm not going to weigh in on it. And they are an indispensable ally of ours, regardless of what the outcome of this vote is. And we stand with them regardless of what decision they make in Britain. Thank you.
Thank you.